grew up. Sean Dockery was an outstanding player. I like watching Q Dillard. Those were huge impact. The Cedric Banks, those guys were just dynamic on the court, and just being able to just watch them play. You look back where we come from, it's hard to compare those, and that's the way that they compare the NBA, and that's the way that I compare the public league. That looking at these guys are exciting, but able to compare them to where the Tracy Dildies and all them come from when they play is a stretch. But looking at some of these guys and some of these programs, it's Chicago public school basketball is really up. It's one of the toughest conferences in the country to play in, but just a Chicago public school player is exposed day in and night out to competition, or probably one of the top 100 players every day, in some class, whether it's the freshman class, sophomore, junior, senior class, that you play in the top something somewhere from some institution around the city of Chicago. And we take that for granted. They look at Charlie Moore when he was at Morgan Park. Now he's at Kansas. Right. That speaks volumes. LaJuan Pickens, UMass, able to watch him. He was exciting. I got a chance to coach against him. He's excited now. His career is taking off to a different level. Being able to see those guys you on the other side of the court against, and those guys that still go on to college and be able to still compete is just amazing.
Indeed it is. And you know what? That was leading me to my next question. For the first time, and I think forever, I don't want to make it forever, but I can't ever remember 2 straight years Chicago not putting a kid in the McDonald's All-American game. Was that an anomaly or an outlier, or what happened that made that happen?
Well, it is troubling. There's no question in America that Taylor Horton from Simeon shouldn't have made it. It's just impossible. With the career he's had, he played on the national schedule, and they did well. They did well. They played the number 1 team in the country, the number 3 team in the country, number 5 and number 7, and he has some success. So in saying that, how you playing and beating some of the top, and you don't get that opportunity, that kid was special. I remember when he came through the doors at Simeon, when he was overweight, and he was just impressed by the bells and whistles that comes with Simeon, but how determined he was and how hard he worked. That kid was very humble, and not to be able to see him to get an opportunity to be rewarded, nominated for the McDonald's game was just shocking and devastating because, in my opinion, the state of Illinois is the mecca of basketball, and the Chicago Public League is one of the top conferences in the country, and he plays in it. How can you not have someone from Illinois or Chicago?
Thank you for saying that because, no disrespect to the New York City. I've always wondered, how did New York get that mecca of basketball title? And every time I turn on my TV watching NCAAs, or every time I turn on my TV watching an NBA game, somebody is making a major contribution, and they are from Chicago or the Chicagoland area. It is utterly baffling to me how we are not the epicenter of the basketball universe. Has that ever crossed your mind, or does that bother you at all?
Yeah, it bothers me at times that these kids work very hard and they're not rewarded, and because, they kind of look at your state and what's going on in your community is a part of sometimes the perception they perceive. This is why we're not going to choose them.
Oh.
And you look at it and you say to yourself, like, wow, how does this kid not make it? And this kid comes from the same neighborhood in New York. How? But you look at it and you say, well, how involved is the committee, of Illinois with the McDonald's Association? Are they respecting the voices when they come and speak? about these kids' reputation. It's there, These kids are playing on ESPN and doing well around the country. How could you ignore it? So it goes back to say it's disturbing that you witnessed it, you're able to see it. These kids are playing on national TV, and they have the numbers. They have everything that they need. They have the game. They have the substance. They play the quality schedule, and they still don't get selected. And in his case, has the academics, going to a respectable institution. He's going to Iowa State University, another respectable program with great recruits. It's impossible that he don't get considered. It's not like this kid just playing and he didn't have the books to go with it. He should have been rewarded.
Yeah, I just, because, I have friends all over the country, former teammates and things of that nature that I talk to, and they constantly call me like, hey, man, what's going on in the city, man? Nobody at McDonald's game. And that actually helps. Is there anything that we can do as a collective, sports fans or, because I'm living proof that the power of social media social media has an insane amount of power. The fact that I have listeners in other countries and I've never even considered being there, I actually had to look up a country that I have listeners in and find out where it was. Is there anything that we at the end of the bench or the people who are listening, we can collectively get together and start focus on the McDonald's All-American people so we can start saying these people's names online and things of that nature so they can get the shine that they deserve?
Yeah, I think just being knowledgeable of the process, just being knowledgeable of the timelines and the application process in order to get the voting or just to get the kids recognized. A lot of kids don't even know the process. A lot of coaches don't know the process. Just being able to get them any film to be able to get an opportunity and exposure. As you asked that question, I thought back of some of my fraternity brothers that I used to always say, man, y'all got one of the best players in the country coming to Memphis. And he's he from Chicago, he all right. He okay. But until he got to Memphis and did what he did, they said, man, Derrick Rose was the best thing they ever saw, and ain't nothing ever came behind that.
Right.
To go all the way to a national tournament. But again, as close as Memphis is to us, they didn't even know who Derrick Rose was until he just had that breakout. They didn't respect or believe that he was who people said he was.
Yeah, so okay. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do everything I can to continue to push the agenda of Chicago basketball player, because I take me and the people who listen to my show I know for a fact, we take pride in the guys who are from Chicago, because it's the reason Isaiah Thomas will be forever my favorite basketball player. I don't care if Derrick Rose blows me out for the next 10 seasons. He's still going to be one of my favorite basketball players, so forth and so on. I think we have to gather. Again, that's the purpose of my show, partially the purpose of my show, to continue to shine light on my city and on my community first and foremost, because I don't think our community gets a fair shake, and I definitely don't think the kids in Chicago get a fair shake, because my personal opinion is the new term, the term black on black crime, and they use that to shout down our community. I think Chicago is the dog whistle for, or the equivalent for black on black crime. When they want to talk about criminality and criminal activity and violence, they say like Chicago. So I think in order to remove that stigmatism, we're going to have to continue. Like I said, man, I got a following on social media. I have actually, I'll tell you that in private about a bill that I had, and I don't want the whole world to know what I did. But I use social media to fix something at my house, and it's very effective. So I know if we start shouting these kids' name out enough on social media, it will pay dividends, and that's what I'm gonna get together with you and any other coach that or grace my show with their presence, and we're gonna get our kids back in this game. We're gonna get 2 or 3 of them in this game if possible. But when you coached at Simeon, you coached at Julian, and what I want to do before we wrap up is, like I said earlier when we were offline, everybody says, who's your Mount Rushmore and blah, blah, blah. I want a Mount Rushmore of coaches from you, but I also do this thing called a Supreme Court, where you can give me your top 9, because I don't think 4 is enough for players, even with coaches. But can you give me your Mount Rushmore of coaches and your Supreme Court of players, whether it be strictly from basketball in the state of Illinois or what have you? Please.
That's pretty easy there. You have to start at the top of the list. You have to start at the top of the list with Rob Smith.
Okay.
You have to start at the top of the list with Chris Head. Chris Head has done an amazing job in this community and just often just looked upon. But when he was at Westinghouse, it's just unbelievable of what impact he made in that community and on players' lives.
Yes.
There's nowhere in America I can leave out Dorothy Gators. Dorothy Gators is the epitome of basketball. That a woman can just impact people's lives, male and females. Male and female coaches respect her. The all-time winningest coach. Around the country, she's nationally renowned as one of the all-time winning coaches of Illinois. There's no way that Dorothy Gators is not in the head of the conversation. She can coach anything. She can coach males, college, elementary. She chooses to stay where she is because that's a choice of her giving back to her community. Louis Thorpe, Thorpe is just dynamic. This year, when he received his Coach of the Year for 3A, I was standing right behind him and received Coach of the Year for District 3 for 2A. And it was just remarkable just be able to see that he'd be able to get that. It's just amazing just to know repeatedly that he challenged himself and he challenged his players, that he performed. So he's going to be in that argument with a lot of different people down the road. Tyrone Slaughter, you can't leave his success out. Tyrone Slaughter is just one of the most amazing coaches I've seen just turn programs around and develop kids. People often think that all the kids go to Whitney Young and Simeon already ready-made, or they just the best kids of all. That's so far from the truth. I've seen kids come in that had no skill set coming to Simeon and Whitney Young and leave out very good. So I've seen that was some work being put in. Ty does a great job of getting guys to buy in, getting guys to just perform. I think Tyrone Slaughter is the best motivating coach that I've ever seen to come back and win a game, which leads me to my next person is Nick Irvin. Nick does a heck of a job over there. Nick can be down 20 or 30. He's going to motivate and rah-rah his kids. They're going to come back and they're never out of it. He believes that he's never out of it. So to me, when a person is able to motivate their kids and to get them to perform, it's just unbelievable. The job that he does over there. You can never count him out. Year in, year out, he's gonna have some success. Picatory, St. Joe's, a legend, just a legend in what he does. Again, it's said that the best kids go there and the best kids. No, and he's not from our community. He's not from Roseland, but he does well with our kids from Roseland. He's not from the West Side, but he's done well with our kids from the West Side. We take that for granted that coaching comes from many different backgrounds. He's somehow able to be able to relate kids and get them to perform, buy in, and believe. That's huge. That's huge in our community to get our kids to buy in. Another coach, you just can't leave him out up under any circumstances. Lou Adams. Lou Adams is doing a tremendous job at Orr. He just recently won the 2A state championship. I think this is his second time back-to-back defending it. I remember when he had challenges going down there and losing. And now he's learned how to not only win,